For the purpose of this lesson, a constellation's birthday is simply the best time for one to view the constellation in the night sky. The science used to determine these dates is well beyond the scope of our discussion. It should be noted, though, that stargazing is a science within itself. If one is to expect to see all of the constellations for his or herself, he or she should expect to travel across the globe and brave severe weather conditions. Don't expect to stand in your backyard and look up during a certain month and view a particular constellation. But someone can see the constellation in the night sky. Although you may not be able to view each constellation, they each have a time when someone on Earth will be able to view them, and that is called its celestial birthday. Okay, now, each constellation has a planetary ruler. Throughout history, that's just what it's been called. In this next section, we're going to seek to explain, or at least give our take, on what planetary rulers are. The ruler of a constellation is always associated with a height of abilities. It seems that our chemical ancestors left us a guide to mastering our abilities. When a constellation is in line with its ruler, its strongest attributes are amplified. We have been assigned constellations to ourselves based upon our birthdays, no matter how one may interpret its meaning. Ancient chemists directed individuals of future generations to study the universe based upon their knowledge of themselves. The relation between the constellations and their rulers has been heavily debated. It is not our intention to make a determination as to what the exact relation is between a constellation and its planetary ruler. The goal of the Look It Up movement is just that, for you to look the information up. We just want to point out the fact that the ancient chemists connected certain elements with certain planets, and certain planets with certain constellations, and certain constellations with certain people. Although there are various theories, some parts of those theories stay the same throughout all cultures. We have tried to focus on those parts that stay the same and refrain from elaborating on the details. So, in conclusion, a planetary ruler is said to heighten the ability or performance of an individual or element. Another highly debated subject is the classical elements. Their original number is 4 or 5, depending upon whom you are speaking with. Greece is the birth or death place of the classical elements, depending upon whom you are speaking with. If you accept the theory that the Alexandrian Greeks refers to the Greeks that settled in Egypt in the city that is now called Alexandria in 334 BC. We're left with the task of backward engineering all of the chemical technology left behind once the chemical people decided that the Western world had corrupted the land of Chem so much that the higher sciences had to be buried and guarded. Then Alexandria, Greek settlement in ancient Egypt, 334 BC, is the death place of the original elements. If you accept the theory that ancient chemists were clueless for at least the previous 10,000 years before Greeks arrived, despite the fact that they molded gold into the shape of human faces and built monuments that still stand today, then the Platonic era, Greece, 428 to 348 BC, look it up, is the birthplace of the classical elements. This theory suggests that a Greek named Plato was the first to use the term element. So, Encyclopedia says Platonic era is the birthplace of the classical elements. Mystery says the classical elements are just 4 of a whole lot more. The Western so-called scientists, naturalists, and philosophers began to try to understand the original table of elements, by expressing the very basic understanding that they had. Knowing that our great ancestors had mastered thousands of elements to achieve the wonders that they had achieved, but also knowing that they had proven themselves unworthy of receiving the knowledge of all the original elements, the Greeks probably started their investigation into the hidden knowledge with the basic, so-called classical elements of fire, water, air, and earth.